first and second races. Hello everybody, welcome, bienvenue, wherever you are watching us, day or night. Thank you for joining us here with our live coverage from the Circuit Paul Ricard, former home of the French Grand Prix. We're just about 30-minute drive outside the city of Marseille, close to the Mediterranean in stunning conditions, beautiful, hot, sunny weather, getting ready for qualifying to get underway. Martin Haven, and alongside me, Richard Coleman, the boss of the Craft Bamboo World Touring Car team. And Richard, the first period of qualifying, all of the cars go out, try and get one good lap in to get into the top 12 and progress. So the pressure is really on, although there seems to be enough time in 20 minutes. That's not always the case for the teams.
It's not always the case, and we've already seen this year a few drivers fall foul of that. And I actually think here we're going to see that a bit more. I think if you look at the testing, it's a short lap round here, and yeah, only a few tenths is going to cost you a lot of positions. So even the top guys can't afford to hang around at the beginning of qualifying.
Very hot, very abrasive on the tyres here as well. Lots of long, constant radius corners, which tyres hate. They overheat a lot in. So we've seen a quick lap habitually come actually from a second fast lap on the tyre. But beyond that, you've really got no chance of improving.
No, and I think here, because the tarmac is so abrasive, the guys are going to have to set the tyres to come in just for that one lap. I think you'll actually even see some drivers take it easy on the out lap to make sure they don't take too much out of the tyres. And really, they're only going to be pressured for that one lap. So it's very, very, very high pressure to get that time.
So the question is, with 20 minutes in which to set one really good lap, do you go out with the rush and follow the herd, or do you plough your own furrow? Jose Maria Lopez, we saw letting everybody else rush out on track in free practice, but can he afford to take that gamble, maybe, with all his teammates clearly planning to go out immediately?
I think Jose Maria does his own thing, and that works for him. But you know, some drivers need to get in the pack. They need to see where the other cars are around them to get into that rhythm. But you're right, we've seen Jose Maria just do his own thing a little bit more. It'd be interesting to see what he does in the first part of qualifying.
Ivan Muller on a string now of pole positions, and he has now started to really close down what was a 50-point margin behind Lopez. It's now down to 30 points, took 5 points only out of him in the end last weekend in Slovakia. But if he does that at every race weekend, they will end up with a hair's breadth between them. Ivan could well end up equal on points, but with more wins. Daniel Elena sticks his head in Sebastian Loeb's cockpit, as so often he has over the years when he was co-driving for Seb in his previous career as a multiple World Rally champion. Here he's just on hand for friendly advice, and it's always nice for a driver to have, you know, that friend, that confidant, that long time. I think often, you know, drivers will bring a friend from home for the weekend just to have somebody that they can download to that's not the team.
Yeah, and all drivers are different. And you know, some drivers, you know, they want their girlfriends there, they find them relaxing. Others, you know, they don't want to be having an argument in the back of the garage. Everybody's different. Yeah. Maybe it's a father, maybe it's a brother. But yeah, it's a confidence game, and anything that gives a driver confidence is a good thing.
So, qualifying just about to start. Very short lap here, 2 minutes 30 last week for a really fast lap around Slovakia. 1 minute 30 for a really fast lap here in Paul Ricard. Stay with us live for all the coverage from France. On board Paul Ricard, coming across the start-finish line with our world champion, Jose Maria Lopez. Looks like Pechito is going out straight away to try and set a quick lap. Hugues de Schoenack in the back of the Lada Sport Garage, based here and at Magny-Cours, the boss of Orica. And they've done a lot of work on the engine of these cars, but also helping with the engineering of the cars as well. Very successful in so many different categories. Nicky Katzberg in his Lada, spinning up the wheels there out of that very tight right-hander. We're talking to him and Jaap van Lagen earlier on. They said that's the real bugbear for them. The really slow corner there, and at turn 1 and 2, they're just losing so much grip.
I think also the Lada's actually struggling in the heat. I was talking to some of the engineers between free practice 2 and the qualifying session, and they really seem to be struggling in the heat. If you think Moscow, Slovakia, low 20s, but here we've got some real heat, and yeah, they're struggling as a result.
Well, air temperature way up in the mid to high 30s, and track temperature's got to be 50 degrees. And that means that it is very slippery for the tyres. It reduces the ambient grip level, or the total grip level. Jose Maria Lopez very quick in sector 1. but faster than him by 6/10 in the first sector has gone Honda's Norbert Michelisz. Lopez, 31.9 second sector. Now that's quicker than any second sector we've seen so far. Montero goes quicker in the Honda, 31.6 second sector. Ma goes quicker than him by a couple of hundreds. There's the Honda garage, Stuart McCrudden watching on, and Michelisz again quickest. Norby is quicker in sector 1 and sector 2. Huff goes quicker now. Van Lagen also setting a fast time. So those two larders with Nicky Katsberg all on quick laps, and their laps are quicker than the guys that are preceding them. Well, here's Norby into turn 2. That's a real rock and roller corner. Drops down, you lose traction, and then you've got to turn and accelerate.
Very easy to lock a wheel there, Martin. Very, very easy to lose time.
Norby across the line fastest. Rob Huff second. Nicky Katsberg third. Yet to see the first foray from the Chevrolets, from the Citroens. Chevy's Tom Chilton now goes second.
Van Lagen's on an absolute flyer.
Very quick lap from him. Citroen's clearly keeping their powder dry. Tarquini, as is his wont, came out, did an installation lap, then went back in for fresh tyres. And Van Lagen goes on top. Now, you've got to assume that there will be the option for a second lap somewhere. And is he going to try and get it now? When you're in the groove, you really want to work the car as hard as you can.
Most drivers will stay on their second lap and then wait for the team to tell them if they're up or down and if they think it's worth carrying on.
Yeah, most of them will have a digital readout. Probably in qualifying, it'll be set to their split just to show plus or minus. And so if they're still on a hot one on lap 2, then there's nothing to lose by carrying on. Thiago Montero came back into the pits as well, as you can see. Gabriele Tarquini has left, so both Castrol Hondas doing exactly the same, maybe just confirming what they had hoped would be the case, maybe with changes after free practice, which finished at midday, don't forget, 3 hours ago, so it's a very different track.
Yeah, it's very easy to chase the track here, Martin. The circuit has such a big spread of temperature during the day that each session is completely different. So sometimes you can make a change, but then the circuit's evolved, and actually you need to be setting up your car in a different way.
Gregoire de Moustier in the Craft Bamboo Chevy, 0.32 down at the second sector. Put some really good laps together here. Let's see where this is going to leave him. Probably not going to move him up very much, I would thought, from 6th position. That's 0.65 back. His last lap, 0.5, moves him up 1 ahead of Hugo Vallant. So he is now second of the Chevys.
Good solid lap.
Yeah. And the option to continue for another quickie as well. John Philippi puts in a fast lap as well. Jaap van Lagen, Norbert Michelisz, Tom Chilton, then Rob Huff, Greg de Moustier and Hugo Vallant. That's your top half dozen.
Yeah, it looks like the Works Hondas have just taken themselves out of sync, get them some clean air, get out of the traffic. It's a very short lap here, so it's probably not a bad move just to get them out of sync with the other cars, give them some space.
Now, what we haven't talked about is anybody in a Citroen, because they have all come back into the pits. Brakes.
The feeling we've had from this morning's sessions is that Citroen have been focusing on their race pace a bit more. This is one of the circuits where we have a big, big difference between the race setup and the qualifying setup.
Yeah, and there certainly seems to be work going on the brakes of a couple of their cars. Now, they didn't produce really quick times in free practice, with the exception of Qinghua Ma, who clearly didn't get that memo about stringing bits of laps together but not whole laps.
Yeah, kind of showed their hand a little bit this morning.
I cannot believe that Citroen are struggling here of all places. Gabriele Tarquini squeezes down the inside of John Philippi.
Badly blocked there, yeah.
Yeah.
Cost him a lot of time. He's not going to be happy about that.
Now, is this an out lap? No, it's not, is it?
First
no,
blind
it was
lap on new tyres.
Yeah, was a quickie.
And as we know, Martin, the tyres are really better on that initial lap. It's not somewhere you can generally get a good time on lap 2, so that's really cost Gabriele there.
Whoa, wow. So he goes 4th quickest, 0.26 behind. Now, he was half a second behind almost. Look how wide he got there.
Can't say.
Was that senior, or is that the beginning of Beausset? I think that might be the...
Yeah, coming into Beausset, I think.
Yeah, Beausset kind of tightens and tightens. Just when you think it's finished tightening, it tightens and tightens a bit more. 5,000's up in Sector 1. Fastest lap we've seen so far from Thiago Montero in the Honda.
Yep, fastest of anybody in the first sector.
into Beausset. You take the first apex, drift out wide, brake, 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 tighten, 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 and then drill the throttle all the way up to the tight left-hander at Bond d'Or, which is, I guess, a third gear corner. And again, late apex here because you want to carry the speed through this little right-hand flick all the way around the long right-hand arc that is Gare Laban. And then Virage du Lac, again, a tightening left-hander. Look at how hard work this is on the tyres. 1,000th up.
Very tricky, that last corner. It's the slowest corner on the circuit, only 65 kilometers an hour through there.
And is he in front? Is he behind? He's certainly going to be in the top 2 or 3. Thiago Monteiro, fastest by 8,000ths of a second. 800ths of a second, I beg your pardon. Good lap from Thiago in the Honda. 1:30.52. And 31.1 in the first section. And a 30.89. So 4 tenths, 3 tenths, 3.37 quicker than his free practice time. You would hope to find maybe a little bit more than that in really aggressive qualifying setup.
Yeah, I think it's very much a Q1 lap. I mean, he didn't make any mistakes. It's just very, very smooth, very solid lap, and that's why he got much better time than Gabrielli, who was, let's face it, a bit scrappy on that lap. And
at the beginning of qualifying, you'll be carrying more fuel than you will later on in Q2 and Q3 because you can't refuel during the session.
Absolutely, and the top guys will be obviously fueling for the full session. They'll be banking on getting into Q3, so they have to take that penalty of carrying that weight around in Q1.
Well, everybody else is likely to be carrying the same as well, just in case, because we were talking before we came on air, but beyond the top 3, which you pretty much got to give to the Citroens, there might be a very large crowd trying to get those last 2 spots, including all the Chevys potentially, all the Ladas potentially, and all the Hondas potentially as well. Monteiro's top, Honda. Van Lagen second, Lada. Mikulits third, Honda. Chilton fourth, Chevy. Mehdi Benani on a flyer in the first sector. 34.97 first sector leaves him not quite half a tenth, just over half a tenth in front. Rob Huff, quarter of a second back.
Benani's time is going to be a bit of a benchmark because I don't think he struggled a little bit this weekend. He's a little bit out of form, so I expect all the other Citroens to be ahead of him. So this is going to be a good indicator of where they're going to be. Yeah,
if he's in the top 2 or 3, I think we can take a good third of a second out of his time, possibly getting on for half a second. He's, as you say, not shown good form in free practice at all. Only 8,000ths off the fastest lap at the moment. What's the Citroen's traction going to do for him out of the final corner? Look how far Ma has got away from Chilton and Coronel. They came out of the pits together. You think that Chilton might have wanted a tow. Well, Benani went 4th. Here comes Nicky Katzberg. And as he comes across the line, he goes to 5th.
That's a good time.
That is a very good time.
Ivan's just had a very, very good middle sector.
Yeah, 4 tenths up from Muller. Now the fun and games really starts. Big slide in front from Jaap van Lagen, or is that Rob Huff? Rob Huff ahead of us as we ride with Nicky Katzberg. Well, that was turn 1. That was pretty sideways, left rear puncture. No contact at all from the tyre on the rim there. That's why it was on the lock stops and way beyond.
You're coming into turn 1 at 220 kilometers an hour as well, Martin. That's not what Rob wanted there at all.
No, absolutely not. He will have found it squirming under braking horrendously and, of course, not slowing down properly, even though it's the rear wheel and it's not doing as much as the front. You want all the braking.
Particularly the moment you start to turn in.
Wow, so puncture for Rob Huff. He'll be limping back because he can't afford to park it. He's in 11th place at the moment with 8 minutes to go. I fear he may not make Q2. Top 12 go through. This is really where we need to see the timing pylon on screen with all the top 12 cars. Gregoire de Moustier bumped out as Qinghua Ma goes fastest in the Citroen. Chilton third behind Muller. And where did Coronel come in? 10th place. So Tarquini 11th, Daste 12th. Huffy's out already. De Moustier, Vallant, Rydell, Philippi and Loeb, who's on a good lap. 3 tenths away will put him in the put him in 4th place if he maintains that gap to the line.
Nearly got tripped up by Stefano Daste then,
yeah.
But just got out of the way.
And 1700s, where did he find that extra pace in the final sector? Boy, because that is basically 3 tricky corners, the last 3 corners of the final sector. Loeb pops up to third. Mar, Muller, Loeb. Now we're looking at Lopez. Not green in sector 1, not green in sector 2, so not a good lap for Pachito.
Loeb's been very good in the last sector, actually. That's been his strength so far this weekend.
We had a really strong weekend here last year. First time we came here, qualifying was dry, rain in both races. It was pretty miserable. John Philippi 1.2 behind at the midpoint, and you've got to be within a second of the fastest time at the moment to be in the top 12. Tarquini on the bubble, leaves the pits once more. Hugo Vallon to leave the pits once more. And Philippi's not going to improve on that lap. So he has only visited the pits once, so that was his fresh tyre run. Van Lagen looks like he might be done. He's in 8th. And Rob Huff, it wasn't just, well, don't forget he hit that tyre stack, so you could see the tyre, you could see the wheel head on. I think he'd already lost that.
Yeah, I think there'd been a suspension failure there of some kind. And that's not the first time we've seen a failure like that on the Lada.
Yep. Well, they'd hoped that their newly homologated suspension or re-homologated suspension for Moscow would have cured those woes. But Huffy is out then. There's no chance they're going to get that straightened up with a new corner on it and out into Q1. Sebastian Loeb with a good run through into 3rd place. Ivan Muller in 2nd. Pringhua Ma currently fastest. And at the moment, it is all about getting into the top 12. That's where everybody needs to be to progress. And Hugo Vallon 16th. Got the track to himself into turn 1. You can hear the splitter bottoming out there as you hit that curb. Yeah, a lot of compression. They did a really good talk through of a lap for us in FP2. When he finished it, immediately got on the radio back to the TV truck and said, "Oh, that was horrible, please don't use it." But actually, I thought it was really very good indeed. Especially talking about how you go uphill here. The apex of that hairpin is so important to get the speed uphill into senior, carry it all the way through. That was just the tiniest of breaths on the throttle.
They're 220 kilometers an hour through that corner. It's you got to really hold on to it through there, and there's no rest because you're straight into the next corner, into Beausset.
Down a couple here, trying to control the nose, stop it washing out wide.
So tempted to be greedy there, just give a bit too much lock, a bit too much throttle, but he's very patient and he should be rewarded on the time. You know,
so often the most frantic of qualifying laps should look like the calmest inside the cockpit.
You're going sideways,
was fast,
you're not going forwards.
Exactly so. So Hugo was in 16th place, comes across the line with the fastest 2nd sector of all. To go 6th, he is through, and out is Tarquini, who is on a flying lap. And that would put Coronel out if Tarquini improves. Tarquini's inside where he needs to be. He needs to be 12th place now, is 0.82 away. No, he's not. Tarquini, this lap is not fast enough at the moment. Can he find it in the final sector? Is there enough? He's got to be inside 0.87 away. He's not. He is out of Q2 as well. Daste behind him stays out of Q2. That was nothing like an improvement for Stefano Daste. Coronel's having to go back out. Now, he's going back out with Tom Chilton.
Be interesting to see if they tow.
Chile is in 4th place, so he will be trying to tow Tom Coronel down the straight. Grégoire de Moustier, 0.5 away in the 1st sector, 0.74 away at the line would be enough. Is there enough life in the tyre? The Craft Bamboo car understeers its way through the final corner. You see him washing out a little wider than he expected there, but you've got to keep the throttle buried all the way to the line. 0.73, he's in, and out is Coronel. That's why Coronel had to go out and defend. It's Chevy eat Chevy, it's dog eat dog, Richard Coleman.
I'm not sure that's going to be enough to get him through. I think there's going to be a few cars that are going to be on a quick lap.
Daste, half a second away in sector 1. He could be in there. Rob Huff can't. Ricard Rydell has gone out with 2 minutes to go.
Coronel. I think Coronel's definitely got a good time in him.
Daste, he's done. He's cruising. That's not a fast lap.
No.
He's gone off somewhere.
Unless he's got blocked, and yeah, big moment, big moment.
Again, that is into Beausset, and we saw John Philippi spinning off there. Some of those time marks are John Philippi's from free practice. So Dasté is done. His bolt is shot. He'll start both races on row 8 of the grid, 15th, 16th, somewhere there.
The thing is, Martin, this high-speed asphalt on the edge, it's very pretty, blue-red. It's very, very abrasive. So as soon as you go onto that, you can really damage your tyres.
Yeah. It's like a cheese grater where he's going to go again.
He's back right off to try and save what he can out of the tyres, but he's really compromised himself on this last run.
Chilton back out of the pits with Coronel in tow. So Chilton's not in the danger zone. Coronel was, though. Now let's pull back a little and see where is Chilton. Right in front, trying to give him a tow all the way around the lap.
Banani's also on a quick lap.
Yeah, Banani is. Rydell is on a flyer in 17th place. There's Banani. Down towards the end of the lap. Through Virage du Lac. Virage du Pont. Final corner here. Achingly slow and so frustrating for the drivers. Desperate to chase the throttle.
Yeah, that's why you see so many of them just being greedy on the exit, putting the pad down a bit too early, getting some wheel spin, and you know, losing 3/10 right at the end of the lap.
He goes 6th. Rydell is on a good lap as well, but not in the middle sector. 1.1 away is not enough. It's quicker than he's gone. Katzberg now on the bubble. Coronel is out, and Coronel did not set a green sector 1, so it's not even his best first sector. Ricard stays in 17th.
Really, really poor out the last corner. Very poor traction.
Yeah. So, who else is out on track? Van Lagen is out on track in 11th place. Coronel is out on track in 13th.
Not the best first sector from Coronel either.
Not even a green lap for him.
No, he's gone off.
He's gone off. That's why. Just didn't have enough tyre to get all the way through Beausset. And part of the problem with Tom Chilton maybe being in front of him was just washing out. Rob Huff talks to Hugues de Schoenack from Orica.
See, with the tow, Martin, you get obviously the big slipstream benefit, but these cars now are very aero-dependent. You get a lot of wash, lose a lot of front grip in these high-speed corners, and maybe that's why Tom, if they've not been practicing towing, just lost that front downforce, ran wide, and that's the end of his lap.
Yeah. Chilton takes the checker, so does Coronel. Coronel will start 13th, no better. Chilton goes through, 4th fastest, and Nicky Katzberg pushing hard as well. Beausset claims another victim. And Katzberg in 12th at the moment. Woo! Just avoided the tyre stack, trying to come past Ricard at Ricard. And, you know, they're in a world of hurt because he's getting in offline, too fast, unbalanced.
Never going to happen.
No, however, looks like he's going to go through.
Yeah, and okay, big disappointment with Rob Huff, big shock for him to have that suspension failure, but looks like Lada have got 2 cars into Q2, and where they were in FP2, they were right down the bottom of the timesheets, really struggling in the temperature, so I think they'll probably be quite pleased to get those 2 cars through Q2.
They had mechanical problems as well. Nicky Katzberg had a problem that stopped him going out and doing very many laps. Jaap van Lagen had a problem. In FP1, Nicky was 8th, Jaap was 12th, Rob was 14th. So they figured, you know, 8th to 12th somewhere was pretty much where they were. And in fact, last night at dinner, Rob was saying, honestly, somewhere 7th to 12th. That's probably where we are in terms of pace. You know, you take out 5 Citroens and suddenly, you know, everybody is 6th on down, aren't they? And
absolutely. So, plus, you know, those guys now in this next session have got to make sure they're in the top 10. There's a big difference to how your weekend pans out if you get into that reverse grid or not.
Marshall's going out to sort out what? Talking about Jaap van Lagen, she was chatting to Nicky Katzberg after FP2, and the tyre stack right in front of us, the black one, moved right out onto the curbs. And Jaap van Lagen said that was worth 2 or 3 tenths per lap because you had to be tighter going around it, and as a result, slower. That's a sea of yellow down there. Hugo Vallant, Tom Coronel, and 3 yellow Ladas, of whom no Coronel and no Rob Huff. So 3 of our 5 yellow cars will head out on track. Let's hear from the pit road. Neil Cole is down with Rob Huff. Broken left rear suspension has put him out of
Rob, just inspecting a bit of the damage there. There was contact, but the damage was already done before you went off. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, just going down to turn one, hit the brakes, and as soon as I hit the brakes, the bottom arm's broken on the rear. So left, as we saw, it's the same thing has happened with Tarquini in the race in Moscow. You just see the toe links breaking and then the left rear wheels flapping all over the place. It's taken the brake line out with it as well, and obviously that's what's caused a big slide and then sliding through the water barriers. Luckily it's not a concrete wall, otherwise the car would look a lot worse.
Thanks, Rob.
Well, two very valid points there, Richard Coleman. First of all, of course, not only when it takes the brake line out, not only have you not got good braking, but you're also then got your tyre sliding on its own brake fluid. And secondly, those water-filled barriers, yeah, if that was a metal barrier, the boys would be looking at an all-nighter to even have a hope of getting him into a race.
Absolutely. This is probably the safest circuit on the calendar. The safety systems here and the circuit layout are probably the best.
Well, Alex Legui is down in the garage as well, with Gabriele Tarquini, who also missed out on Q2.
Disaster, yeah, for Rob Huff and also Tarquini. What happened?
Yeah, it was tight, but I did 2 laps, 2 attempts with traffic on the third sector. First attempt and second attempt. So, and the third one I tried to do, but it was not time enough. So,
Really unlucky.
20 minutes, you think, okay, it's time, but it's not always time. And you know, sods will win. And Gabriele is having the Thiago Monteiro run of luck this year. We touched on that earlier in the season, that Thiago seems to be, if there's any good luck going, it does seem to be going Thiago's way, which habitually hasn't been the case. And you know, when your luck's not going with you, you are going to hit traffic, and those things are going to come and find you out.
Absolutely, and psychology is a big part of it. You know, Gabriele's had a tough few races, didn't have much luck in Moscow, didn't have much luck in Slovakia. I think nobody was more surprised than Honda at the form in Slovakia. Everyone thought it was going to be their circuit, and let's be honest, they struggled there. Yeah. Gabriele's not been very kind in the press recently, and he's showing all the signs of a frustration. You know, he's a former world champion. He wants to win, and yeah, everything's going Thiago's way right now.
Out front on his own, Jose Maria Lopez. Ivan Muller follows him across the line. Qinghua Ma and Sebastian Loeb in formation behind, but Lopez, as so often Andy Priaulx used to do, going out and qualifying and just doing his own thing. No team towing tactics, none of that. And we, you know, from the earlier years of multi-car teams, you think of the SEAT team with 5 cars in a rigid towing formation to try and knock out as many front row grid positions or front several rows grid positions as they can. Citroën don't seem to work that. Either they don't want to, or they haven't found it possible, or they haven't found it beneficial. I'm not quite sure where in that Venn diagram they fall.
I think it's a combination of all kinds of factors, but these cars are much more aero-sensitive. They have a lot more downforce, and therefore the slipstreaming effect is worth a lot less than it used to be, because you get the downforce taken away from you in the corners, so it's not as a big an advantage as it used to be.
Well, look at the battle between Muller and Lopez. This is what it's all about. Muller 7,000 faster in Sector 1 and 1,700 slower now at the end of Sector 2. On aggregate then, Lopez is in front. 6 minutes remaining. That's enough time for one more lap on fresher tyres, should they have some. Lopez goes top, and Muller in the final sector does not respond by 6,000ths of a second. Wow. What about Sebastian Loeb? He goes on top of the pile.
Great lap.
Faster than Lopez and Muller, and Ma goes 4th. Norby 5th. Montero, Katzberg. Montero 5th now, ahead of Michelis. What about Katzberg? Hugo Vallon goes 6th. Nicky Katzberg, Jaap van Lagen is 8th. Gregoire de Moustier, 9th at the moment, ahead of Nicky Katzberg. Tom Chilton, fastest first sector of all.
He's looking the quickest of the Chevrolet runners, it has to be said. He's had a very good time in Q1.
Really getting his head around this Royal Motorsport car here. He said a couple of races ago, didn't he, when they went to Moscow, we threw all the new changes we'd made out. We went back to what we did last year that worked, and it's still working for us. 42 thousandths behind Sebastian Loeb. So he's in front of Lopez and Muller.
That's a great lap. That's a very, very good lap.
Now, don't forget, this does not dictate the race one grid. It's the fast 5 that go through, the purple for the fastest lap, and those highlighted in silver, and that will dictate the race one grid. From 6th on down, that is where they will start in race 1, and then 10th place would be pole for race 2. Craft Bamboo team boss Richard Coleman sitting with me watching Gregoire de Moustier currently in 10th, but Nicky Katsberg and Mehdi Benani, I'm sure, like Jaap van Lagen, probably Norbert Michelis, have got their eyes on that front row for race 2 start as well.
Absolutely, and I think one of the other interesting elements of this session now is that some of these guys have had to use a lot of tyres to get into Q2, and it's hard to know who's got tyres, who hasn't. For example, Tom Chilton, you know, he had the confidence this morning to not run new tyres in practice. Coronel, his teammate, ran a set of new tyres, and he's not in Q2. Whereas Chilton, he's been able to have that confidence, save that set of tyres, and look at him now. You know, he's put in a very, very, very good time. He's currently 2nd fastest.
And look at Greg de Moustier as well, 10th place ahead of Nicky Katsberg. But what about Mehdi Benani? Benani could be the fly in the Craft Bamboo ointment at the moment. Should be in the top 10, should be in the top 5 here, frankly, in a Citroën. Like Qinghua Ma, the car run by Sebastian Loeb Racing. Well, it's a full total Citroën Racing entry. Chilton pulls in behind as Benani comes across the line to go 7th, 10th. Oh, just eases de Moustier out by 15 thousandths. Well, that would at the moment see Gregoire de Moustier starting both races 11th, Nicky Katsberg both races 12th. Katsberg cruising back in. Benani and Van Lagen currently would start race 2 on pole, race 1, 10th and 9th. Katsberg, first sector of this lap, not as quick as his previous best. So this is clearly the last set of tyres, and you've got to think maybe part worns rather than really, really fresh at the beginning. And behind him, Gregoire de Moustier still trying to push on a little, but not green in sector 1, not green in sector 2 means this will not be a better lap. And in fact, he's just bringing it in on a quick in lap. Nevertheless, big step forward in performance from him this weekend. And that, you know, that's going to imbue him with more confidence. He's now leaning on the car more than he's been able to do before. And that's going to teach him things about what the car can do for him too.
Absolutely, confidence is a big element.
2 minutes and 20 seconds. It's a minute 30 fast lap here. 2 minutes is enough to get out and get ready and start a quick lap. So who has got one left in the bag? Well, listen, apart from Tom Chilton and Jose Maria Lopez so far, everybody is going back out. I think Nicky Katsberg is probably done. Gregoire de Moustier, is he going to reappear? He's just...
I don't think he's got the tyre allocation,
Not
Martin.
sure he's got the time left. I think that tyre is done.
The circuit here is so abrasive, you've really got to get that lap time on your first flying lap.
Yeah.
There's just not enough life in the tyres to do 2 runs.
Benani cruising back in. He's not going to be back out again. No, he's not. He's cruising around. Is he going to try for another lap on this?
I don't think he wants to. I think, you know, Katsberg looks like he's finished, so Benani's looking at his reverse pole, and I think he's just got to leisurely cruise back to the pit lane.
Yep. Surprised they kept him out for another lap. It doesn't make much difference, I suppose, but there's Gregoire de Moustier. 15 thousandths. You know, that's now going to be the frustration, isn't it? 15 thousandths away from 10th.
And if you'd
You know, any other track, he'd have taken 11th with both hands and loved it.
Absolutely, and that, you know, that's motorsport. You know, you always have an aim for a weekend, and in reality, that aim always moves because people always want to go better, and that's the nature of it.
It's all sport, isn't it? You know, you achieve a target and then suddenly there's another target and it's just tantalizing, and that's why people continue to play, continue to compete, because there's always another target.
Until you've got fastest lap, pole position and a race win.
No, because then you've done it once. Now nothing else is acceptable.
Absolutely.
And when you won one championship, not winning one is not acceptable. There is no end to it.
And that's why these guys keep going. Even people like Ivan, they're multiple champions. They're still as hungry as they were before their first championship.
Well, he wants a fifer. That's what he wants. You know, and there's no question about it. Not only does he not want to be beaten by Lopez or Loeb, he wants a FIFA. He wants a 5th World Championship. He wants to get another one. And do you know what? At the end of this season, should he win a 5th, he's not retiring. He enjoys it too much. You know, his daughter's still very young. She's, what, a year old, a year and a half. So it's not, you know, kids at school. His older daughter is, you know, late in secondary school education. So he hasn't got that young family at home thing yet that's going to draw him away. I can't see him retire. You know, had these conversations with all sorts of guys. Gabriele Tarquini, Franz Engsler, you know, Alain Menu, all racing into their 50s. Well, when are you going to stop? When it stops being fun.
And what else are they going to do?
Well,
they've been doing this since they were teenagers.
Yeah, dear God, it's like me. I'm never going to get employed doing anything else, am I? Incidentally, by the way, while this otherwise interesting conversation is going on, Lopez is on a fastest of all-time lap. Fastest first sector of anyone. By how much? By a 10th ahead of Loeb, who's just taken the flag. Lopez is on to go on top of the pile and slap everybody back into position. At the moment, it's Loeb, Chilton, Lopez, Muller, Mar, Vallant. So the top 5 would go through. Ugo's done. He is not going to make Q2 for the 3rd race in Q3. Did he make it in Nürburgring?
He did in Nürburgring.
Yes, so it's the 3rd race in a row. He won't be in there, but Lopez, oh, now, funny second sector, 29,000's back, but that is going to put him on top of the pile. Now he's got his qualifying setup working for him. Now he's good to go.
He's got his eye in for Q3 now as well. Take a lot of confidence from that.
He'll be the last man to go. He's just thrown down the gauntlet going, OK, there's my 5 aces. Let's see you beat that. But he's still got to produce another lap like that again.
But it's good for his confidence. He's sort of trailed the van a little bit recently. He's been slightly out of form.
So he is 1300ths of a second faster than Muller, who is 4th and will go out 2nd into Q3. First out should be Qinghua Ma. Ugo Vallant just missing out on Q3. So too did Mehdi Benani, but the Moroccan driver has pole for race 2. Before we get into Q3, I think we'll have a quick moment to have a chat with him. Neil Cole is down at Sebastian Loeb Racing. Let's hear from Mehdi Benani.
Nice to see the whole team celebrating as you came into the garage, Mehdi. Congratulations, that is pole for race 2. Looks like it all went according to plan.
Really, it was very tough. I think it was one of the most difficult qualifying because all the cars was very close. We are, I think, 1 second around 14 cars, and we need to fight a lot. But when I have the sector time by Jean-Philippe, my engineer, I tell, so we need to fight for P10, and at the end we didn't go for another fast lap because it's pole for race 2. And it's wonderful, you know. It's if you are not fighting for the Q3, at the end it's much better to start from the pole in race 2, and I think it's gonna be very, very nice.
And clear air from the front of the grid in race 2 is a real chance of a win.
We're gonna see. Tomorrow it's another day. For sure I will drive like today, 100%, and we see where we are. But for sure we are here driver, and I hope to enjoy tomorrow race because it's everybody has the same goal to win a race, and I am here also to fight for winning.
Well done, thank you.
So for Sebastian Loeb Racing and Mehdi Benani, pole position for race 2 tomorrow, round 14 of the championship. Sebastian Loeb Racing with an opportunity with this young driver to go out and leave the field behind. What he needs, though, is for there to be a bit of battling before. He's won before in the World Touring Car Championship. Just a couple of seasons ago, in a very different car. Wonder what his team boss is going to make of that.
Great for Mehdi to be on the pole, but let's be honest, he's also the only Citroen not to be on the top 5. You know, he's sort of struggled a bit this morning. It's a good luck story for him, but you've got to say he's a little bit off the other Citroens at the moment.
You've got to slice it and dice it the way you can, haven't you? You know, take them where you can. Qinghua Ma then, first man out in Q3. One warm-up lap, and then one flying lap. And during his slow-down lap, once he's completed, the next car will be coming out on its fast lap. So we kind of rotate them through. And the pressure here, Richard, is I suppose we say this, don't we, about qualifying, especially on the street circuit. It's the ultimate distillation of what you do in a racing car. No mistakes, no errors, everything to the most finite degree, as fast as you can humanly make it go.
And also, this is the only point of the weekend where the car is absolutely set up for that one lap, that one performance, high cambers, low fuel, and a new set of tyres. It's the only time where everything is set for the car to be as fast as possible. He knows that all the eyes are on him. He knows that every camera's on him. And yeah, pressure's what you make it.
Pierre Rossi feeling the heat in the pit lane. 50 degrees of track temperature, 35 degrees of air temperature. It's a sweltering day here in Le Castellet at the circuit pour Ricard. And Qing Huama, the first of our 5 single-lap shootout competitors through senior.
Yeah, you'll see he's quite steady on his outlap. Because the track's so abrasive, actually, if you push too hard your outlap, you'll actually take some of that new grip from the tyres. So this is one of the circuits where they'll tippy-toe around for the first part of the lap and then start to build some heat into everything, into the final sector before yeah, giving it full beans out of turn 10.
Lots of locally sourced aggregate in this tarmac. You can see the sparkle from it, the sort of quartziness of it when you look down in the pit lane and on the track. Through the penultimate corner, Virage du Lac. And now it's from here, from the moment he releases this brake pedal, everything has to be absolutely perfect to get the launch onto the start of the lap, out of the final corner. So across the line he comes, and the clock starts now.
Building up to 220 kilometers an hour before he hits the brakes for turn 1.
Pinching every millimetre of the white line, right up by the bollard. Got to be breathing across the tyre stack there. Hurls the car through corner 2.
Little bit too aggressive through T2.
Into the chicane. The exit here is so important for speed, all the way down the Mistral, around Senior, and into the double right-handers at Beausset.
And it's actually very, very uphill, I can tell you from the track walk, Martin. It doesn't look too uphill on the TV, but believe me, it's a real incline.
Really starts to climb hard. 35.0, we've seen first sector times in the 34s. The question is the track now continuing to get more greasy and slippery? Out onto track behind him has gone Ivan Muller, who'll have the second tilt at the clock. End of sector 2 comes just at the end of the corner here. Crosses the line right there. And a 1:05.74 lap so far, 30.79.
There's a lot of time to be won and gained in this last sector here. His teammate Sebastian Loeb's been the fastest through that third sector a lot of the weekend. A little bit greedy on the exit there, I would say.
His previous best here, 26.13, and a 23.13, 23.874 for that final sector. So a 1:29.6, the lap record set by our pole sitter last year, Jose Maria Lopez, Ivan Muller rather, a 1:29.5. So we're actually not down to where we were last year, which is a bit of a surprise. Maybe temperatures lower last year as they were more beneficial.
See, Ivan really not taking too much out of these tyres. You know, he's a wily old fox, Ivan. He knows what he's doing. And now you'll see him start getting everything hooked up.
You've got to try and pussyfoot around, but not lose too much temperature from them or the brakes either. Because when you go onto the stoppers at turn 1, you need them to all be there.
Biggest stop of the lap is turn 1.
So 35.02 first sector for Qing Huama. And the sector ends a long way out of the chicane and down the Mistral. So there's a lot of pressure here to get these elements strung together well.
Yeah, sector 1's quite technical. And sector 2 is where the brave men come into their own.
Wow.
That's a really good split. Very, very tidy from Ivan.
3/10 up in sector 1, so we're on for a new lap record, new qualifying lap record at least. Just about kept it inside that tyre stack. Watch the hands there as the tail lifts and it gets a little bit of a slide going. That might be enough. We're probably not going to be talking tenths, we're probably going to be talking thousandths between the teammates. Ma, 30.7 second sector. 30.67, so he's still faster, adds to his advantage. How much lock he's having to use in that final corner, looking all the way through that near hairpin turn, pulling gears as he brings the car across the line, hanging it on the limiter almost. 0.24 in front, so he goes quicker.
What's the lap record?
129.3, 129.566 was the lap record, so he's inside that.
New lap record.
Race lap record was wet. Ivan Muller is now fastest of all. Two cars down, fastest lap set by Ivan Muller as we go into Q3. Tom Chilton with a 129.680 in Q2, and he is going to need to find 3 tenths just to stay in front of Ivan Muller. And Richard Coleman, actually, it's not talking about hundreds, that is a big ask. 3 tenths more than you had just a lap ago, almost literally.
Bearing in mind this circuit is actually a minute shorter than Slovakia ring last weekend. That is a really, really big ask. I mean, it's a huge achievement for Chilton to get into Q3. Citroen's very, very strong here.
So the only Chevy in the top 5, 4 Citroens, 1 Chevrolet made it through into Q3. The top 5 cars, again, splitter bottoming out there as you drop into that depression and then immediately meet the curb on the rise.
It's a tidy lap so far, but does his Chevy have the grunt of the Citroen?
First sector for Muller, a 34.72. It's going to be close. Not close enough, 35.1. Well, that's slower than Ma as well. He may end up in 5th behind the Citroens. That in itself is possibly no disgrace at all. Privately entered car, privately funded development program. Not talking 300 million worth of development here. Whatever it is, the budget that Citroen Racing have, it's not insubstantial. It's
really interesting. The front end of Chilton's car is very, very compliant. You can see the splitter squatting down to the track, maximising the downforce that they have on that car. And maybe that's one of the reasons why he's been the fastest Chevrolet so far this weekend.
As a man who grew up with British Touring Car Championship, maybe he's not averse to a little bit more body roll, perhaps, than some of the others.
Very neat and tidy through the last corner, but perhaps a little bit too tidy. Yeah. Maybe needed a bit more speed through there.
23.9, that's a good final sector, but again loses a 10th on that one to Qinghua Ma.
Still a very, very respectable time.
Yeah, no question about it at all. Actually, it was 1,500 slower than his best in Q2. So it's Muller, Ma and Chilton with 2 to go.
Let's see what Sebastian Loeb can do. There was fans outside my hotel this morning waiting for him to come out.
Lots of fans here.
Very popular.
Yeah. I mean, he's a massive draw. You know, Valentino Rossi has just won the MotoGP race in Assen. And Sebastian Loeb is that kind of global motorsporting star. You know, he's as well known and as popular in most countries as pretty much anybody on a Formula One grid these days.
Absolutely. Such a versatile driver. He's struggled a little bit in Sector 1 this weekend. His strongest sector is the last part of the lap, but he just needs to get a bit more through this technical. Locking a wheel there, that's going to cost him a little bit of time. He's made the turn 4 a lot harder there for him. Just slightly overdrove there.
Muller's sector 34.72 and Loeb 35.78. That is slowest that we've seen so far. Now has Ivan Muller produced another lap of the gods? like he did in Slovakia. He certainly looks very relaxed and happy.
Yeah, and you can see Sebastian's working a lot harder at the wheel than Ivan was. Not quite as comfortable in the car, but again, Sebastian, such good car control that he still gets the time.
Only 600ths back. Now 700ths of a second. And this is insanely tight. Oh, again, a little bobble there. Started to look to turn in. The car wasn't quite convinced.
We're only talking a couple of feet of tarmac, and these kind of time differences.
Wouldn't even be a car length at the line. And how close is it going to be at the line? 1200s in front! Wow!
That's what I said. Third sector was where Loeb's been strong all weekend, and he's really made it count. Slower than Ivan in the first two sectors, but yeah, Loeb has been the man in the last sector all weekend long, really, and he's really made it count. He's going to be very, very happy with that.
It's all gone quiet on the Pratt perch there, hasn't it? I think they were as gobsmacked by that. Now then, you see, that shows that Muller's lap is beatable. That shows Muller that his lap is beatable. Now Ivan is going to have an uncomfortable 2 minutes waiting to see whether he is going to start second or third on the grid, and whether he's going to lose points to Loeb or points to Muller, to Lopez and Loeb.
And Lopez will be licking his lips, because if he can get Loeb between him and Muller, that's going to be very, very important for the championship. Don't forget, we get points for qualifying. He's going to take a few points out of Ivan then, just extending his championship lead.
But he's got to produce another lap like he did right at the end of Q2.
When you run last, you've got all the pressure on your shoulders.
Yep.
Everyone else has got their marker down. You're the only guy that knows what you've got to do, rather than just try your best.
But in the end, whether you're first or last, mentally, it's still the same high wire act. You are still on your own, completely exposed, and every frailty and tiny mistake is going to cost you.
Look at
1,000th faster than Loeb. Wow, that's insane.
So easy to overdrive in these scenarios. Oh, a little bit of a slide.
So did Muller.
Don't think it cost him too much. Think he can get away with that.
How much extra pace was he carrying in? And again, the car squirming, desperately trying to obey the laws of physics as Lopez tries to force some 54 thousandths up. This is on for pole at the moment.
But don't forget, Martin, Loeb was very strong, so this is where he's got to pull it out of the bag.
He needs a 23.724 final sector. He gets a...
Looks neat and tidy.
Pole position run, does he? Or has Loeb got the...
It's not enough.
Starting place, it's 1300s back, he's third. Loeb on pole, Muller second, Lopez in third.
Ivan's probably just as happy with that as he would be with the pole, to be honest. The important thing for Ivan is for him to be ahead of Lopez at this stage of the championship. But that is a great lap from Sebastian.
That is a blinding lap from Sebastian Loeb to take pole position here.
I mean, he was really, really struggling in the last couple of races to his teammates. You know, he's always been the third man, but that's going to mean a lot to him. It's going to give him a lot of confidence.
Why did he not get out of the car? Because he was waiting for the team to tell him on the radio what was going on. What is Pachito's lap? There's not much time when it's a minute 30 of a flying lap and you're on your slowing down lap anyway. He probably only just come to a halt and turned the engine off.
Yeah, he's happy with that. Look at that smile.
And rightly so. So he should be. You know, that is a standalone performance. Just driver laying it on the line. Yeah, all the super specials where it's been him against the clock, him against a rival. It's not uncommon territory for a rally driver to be having to really produce the goods over such a short period of such intensity.
Absolutely. I mean, he is a true sportsman. And he's had to really dig deep there, but what a lap. I don't think anyone saw that one coming either.
Wow.
I think the Citroën Pitwall were as surprised as we were.
That's a fantastic effort from Sebastian Loeb. So it's all smiles in there, because for Muller, the good news is that Loeb is in front of him, but Lopez is behind him. So it's 1 more point closer. Well, you know, they're going to score 120, 150 points, whatever, by the end of the year. What point, 1 point, what difference does it make? It might make every single difference possible.
Like we said, you know, the amount that Ivan's been closing up in recent races, by the end of the season, if even at that rate, it's going to be very, very, very close. And I think psychologically, this race and Villarreal in 2 weeks' time are crucial, because there's then a big gap before the race in Japan in September. And yeah, you want to be going on your holiday in August, knowing that you're in the right place, that you've got the points, not coulda, woulda, shoulda, and being frustrated. And I think you'll see they'll be fighting very, very hard tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Villarreal in 2 weeks' time as well.
Well, you wonder when Loeb is really, you can just see in the body language, he's really, really pumped with that. So impressed with himself that he managed to hold on to it there. I think, you know, that was proper seat of the pants stuff.
And if we're honest, I think Jose Maria and Ivan would rather see Sebastian on pole, of course.
Each other.
So hopefully there'll still be some happy coffees in the motorhome later on.
Well, Lopez had breakfast on his own this morning, where Ivan and Seb were sitting outside in the sunshine with 3 or 4 other French-speaking members of the Citroën team.
But it doesn't seem to bother Jose Maria.
No.
He keeps himself to himself. He's not too bothered by any cliquey French relationships in the team. He just turns up, does his job, goes home.
Look, he fell into a fully French setup that was set up around Sébastien Loeb and brought in a 4-time world champion as their car sorter-outer and went off and won the world championship. He doesn't have to fear them.
Not at all.
They don't have to be, you know, and it was more French last year probably than it is this year, because he speaks a bit more French and so on, but it's getting that confidence back. It's getting that mojo working again. That's the mental step that he's got to get to now.
Championships aren't really built on the race wins, on the good times. It's when you're struggling and you've got to dig deep and get those points. And you have to say as well, the championship could be just decided on qualifying points. You know, there's 5 points available. It's going to be very, very tight. You know, Saturdays matter now.
Yep, absolutely right. So our DHL pole sitter for round 13 of the championship will be Sébastien Loeb, and for round 14 will be Mehdi Banani, a Citroën on the front of both races. Don't count out even remotely the possibility of all Citroën podiums here, as there were last time out in Slovakia a week ago. But it is a stunning lap from Sébastien Loeb that has left his teammates breathless in his wake.
Yeah, down here with Sébastien Loeb there, but that was a ridiculously good lap. But it felt like it was sector 3 that you really clawed back there.
Yeah, it was very close. So you have to push on the limit everywhere, have to take some risk, but trying to avoid the mistake. So I did a clear lap, a good lap. I pushed really hard. The last sector, I was nearly over the limit. I lost the car in the entry of the corner 9. Finally, I catch it back and I could keep the line. So it was really limit, but finally a pole position in France, so that's great.
Tell me, how much do you think that Ivan is a little bit pleased that you maybe are here rather than Pechito?
For sure, at the moment I think he's trying to catch Pechito at the championship, so it's better for him that I'm in front than Pechito. That's clear. So and Pechito won enough pole position. We can try to do our way too. So. Yeah.
Right. Well, power's on for the race.
Not sure that Pechito would agree that he's won enough pole positions, but I take the point there. Sébastien Loeb needed that. Well, let's get down to Ivan Muller with Neil Cole.
Well, behind Ivan Muller is the scrum around poleman Sébastien Loeb, but it was very close. We saw your reaction when his time came in, incredibly quick. Where do you think he got it over you?
That was the last sector, definitely. He got the pole position here last year because the last sector, and he did it again this year. I was faster in first and second sector. Unfortunately, I never found the solution for the last one. He has the solution.
Can't he tell you what the solution is?
You know, I have all the tools on my disposition to look at it, but he has something special, I think, especially in the last corner.
So it's good for the team, though, full attack for tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, as you could see, the lap time is very tight. I think the top 3 is less than 1500, so it's very tight. So it will be exciting for tomorrow.
Thank you, well done.
Thank you.
Well, it will be exciting for tomorrow, but for how long? When will team orders come into effect? If your positions are set in corner 1, corner 2, end of lap 1, we'll have to wait and see.
Exciting.
Yeah, it is. What's got to happen is that Seb Loeb has got to make a good getaway if he wants to win here in France, and boy, he wants to win here in France, but then so do his teammates. So Jose Maria Lopez loses one more point to Ivan Muller, and so the gap is now down to 29 points between them. Sebastian Loeb closes 2 on Lopez after claiming pole, and Mehdi Banani will start race 2 from pole position here in Le Castellet. Well, let's rejoin Alex. She's down in the Parc Fermé area with Pechito Lopez, our points leader.
This gentleman did a fantastic lap also, but unfortunately not quite fast enough. It looked like a flyer. How are you feeling? You must be a little bit frustrated.
Frustrated is a big word. No, I just maybe a bit disappointed. That's it. You know, you always want to be in pole, but it's not possible. I have very strong teammates, and you know they've been very good this weekend. I haven't found the confidence that you need in Q3. Sometimes I have it, sometimes I not. But that P1 in Q2 gave me maybe the hope to be better, you know, because I was P14 in the first run in Q1. I was a bit lost in free practice. It was not easy to come back. We worked a lot, and I'm happy that actually I gave a fight, because for moments I thought it was not possible, and I was there. So consistency is very important. I'm very happy for that. I'm still there. I'm always between the, I think, P3, P2, P1 in this year, and then I think, you know, in the end, it's that what it matters. Seb, he showed in the past that he was very quick. He did his pole position here last year. He did it now, but he's 60 points behind, so he hasn't been as consistent as maybe Ivan or me. So we will see. Tomorrow anything can happen. You never know.
For sure. Pechito, we know that consistency and fight is in your favour.
So thanks, Alex.